Here we are. Welcome back, everyone, and welcome back, Margot.
Hi, nice to see you.
Well, really nice to see you again. Another sunny day in Glasgow.
Absolutely, it's blinding me.
Well, thank you so much for the sessions you've done and the exercise that you've put together for us. So we're back here with your top 5 knee exercises. Of course, you know, not prescriptive, not an exhaustive list, but some really useful exercises to support support the knees, particularly in the context of arthritis and different stages of that journey. I think in many ways it will cover, you know, in terms of this introduction, a lot of what we touched on in last week's episode with your top 5 hip exercises will still be valid. Is there anything else that you'd want to say about these exercises, or how they might in particular are different from your favorite hip exercises?
I think probably not. It's the same principle. It's trying to give you a few wee core exercises that may be your go-to exercises. Again, you can play around with them. As we say, this is not prescriptive. A health professional will be able to adapt these, or certainly will give you their own exercises, their own favourite exercises. So the list is certainly not exhaustive. It's just the ones I've found in my practice are fairly helpful. I think the thing about your knee in particular is that loss of being able to straighten your knee, that loss of being able to extend it. Now, as you'll know, after knee replacements, we're really keen you get that back because your knee does function so much better the straighter it is. If you're walking around on a semi-bent knee, it's loading an awful lot, particularly at the front of your knee there. So there is a posterior knee stretch in there, and then we talk about strengthening that knee into extension. That's the last exercise. I think they are really, really important things to really focus on.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'm sure many people watching this who may be getting ready for a knee replacement, or even in the early stages of recovery from a knee replacement, may have, you know, been advised a number of times already to focus on reaching that full straightening of the knee, and also to avoid putting a pillow behind the knee, as comfortable as that may be, because that can then sort of work against that, and the knee can kind of get not necessarily get fully stuck in that position, but you really want to, whenever you're resting, when you've got your feet up, you really want to make sure that you're doing that with a straighter leg as you can, and really focus on trying to get that full straightening.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And I mean, sometimes people are really, really sore to straighten their knee out. So, you know, occasionally a pillow is okay, but as long as, again, during these exercises, you are really getting as much extension as you can, that's really, really important. So yeah, whenever you can, try and have a straight knee.
I think that's a good, that's a good sort of motto, as it is.
Yes, absolutely. Your daily mantra.
Yeah, we can add that to the other mantras of like stretching little and often, doing strength exercises until you start to feel a bit tired, rather than focusing on a number, and trying to keep the knee as straight as you can as often.
Perfect.
Good stuff. So in terms of these exercises, what will we need to do them?
So again, purposefully chosen things that you can use in the home. So we use a chair. You can do, depending on the level of exercise you're able to perform, that can be a different height. I think it's really important with the exercises where you're standing or you're on one leg, which a lot of them can be. You want to make sure you get something to hold on to, particularly if you're just starting out with these exercises. We don't want you to feel worried that you're going to fall over, and indeed we definitely don't want you falling over. So make sure you've got enough things round about you that you could hold on to if you needed to, until you get your confidence up and you know what level you can exercise at. We also do some exercises lying on the floor in the video here. But again, you can do these on your bed. It's not an absolute no-no. Some people really struggle to get on and off a floor. So please, if you need to use the bed, or if you've got a sort of very large couch, you can also do it on them. And what else? I think that's probably about it. We will use a rolled up towel underneath the knee as well. Again, better than a pillow because it's smaller and compact, and you can really push down into it. So a rolled up towel is the other thing.
Yeah. And in some cases, for that kind of exercise, if you want, I've seen some people sort of grab a can of beans and put a towel around that just to get a bit more. Yeah, you'll see as Margot gets to that exercise, a kind of what you need to get a good amount of lift under the knee. And yeah, and so something I thought was really nice with this exercise, which I've not seen or come across that often, is with the sit to stand, sort of doing the one-legged sit to stand, lifting the heel up a bit to kind of put a lot more pressure on the one side.
Yeah, so again, what's really nice about sit to stand, it's really functional. And if you do have sort of balance problems, it's really nice to feel safe. So it's a very safe exercise to do because you've got something behind you. So you can do and load one leg more than the other and get really quite a good workout without putting yourself in this vulnerable position where you're on one leg for a period of time.
Yeah, super. Well, I think maybe unless there's anything else you'd like to add about this set of your top 5 knee exercises, I think maybe that's it, and we'll let people dive into them.
Yeah, great. Sounds good.
Fantastic. Well, thanks so much for putting these together for us, Margot. Of course, for everyone watching this, if you want more of Margot's videos, you'll find them on her own YouTube channel. There'll be a link below this video. And of course, everyone, keep up the good work. Stay safe out there, and we'll see you next time. Take care.
So we're going to start with our top 5 exercises for knee if you have osteoarthritis in it. So these are not exhaustive, obviously there's lots of different exercises, but if you're running out of time or if your knee gets quite sore when you exercise it, these are just some of the things that I think you should be focusing on. So the first thing is to try and keep your knee as straight as possible. With many knee conditions, but particularly in osteoarthritis, we start to lose the ability to straighten our knee, so we end up having it in this sort of semi-bent position. So it's important that we're trying to stretch the joint out and the soft tissue round about that. So there's 2 ways I'm going to show you to do that. The first way is in standing. So it traditionally looks like a calf stretch to do, really. What you're going to do is try and sort of face this way. What you do is you want to keep your heel on the ground. You're going to push your knee back. And as you do that, you'll feel hopefully the stretch sort of in round about this area here. And then if you want to make it a wee bit harder, you can just come forward, try and tuck your bottom in underneath a wee bit as well. So you've got a wee bit of stretch at the front here. That's you. Just going to hold that. You want to repeat that certainly a few times for, say, maybe 15 to 30 seconds if you can. The other way to stretch it out is to sit down, and this is particularly useful if you do a lot of sitting, because you want to be doing these quite regularly because they are stretches. So what we can do here, it's the same idea. You're going to stay up nice and tall. You're going to bring your toes up towards you and you're going to push that knee down into the ground. Okay, so as you bring your toes up, as you push this thigh, squeeze your thigh, you should feel a stretch probably all the way up the back of your leg. So that's useful if you're sitting, say, in the office for long periods of time. Great. The next one is a strengthening exercise, which is a sit to stand exercise. Now what's beautiful about this is it's working lots of different muscle groups. It's also really functional. We get up and off chairs and sitting down very often. So you're going to just come up and sit down. So you want to try and keep yourself quite elongated up so you're not sort of collapsing down into it. Try and stick your bottom out to sit down. So you're really working everything. The slower you can do it, the better. It's slightly easier if your chair's a bit higher and slightly harder if your chair's a little bit lower. And you're just going to come up again. You can squeeze your buttocks, squeeze your thighs at the top there. So there's lots of activity going on. And you want to try and do as many repetitions as you can of these till you feel things are getting tired rather than sore. Now, a way to progress that on, if I can show you, is you can start doing it so you're taking more weight through one leg, so it becomes almost like a single-legged squat. But if you've got the chair there to support you, that should help. So this really is much harder to do. There's a lot more demand on your legs. So if you can see what I'm doing here, this leg is just on the ground for a little bit of balance, but really probably 90% of my weight is going through this leg here. You want to try and keep yourself as straight and as level as possible as you come up and down. And again, the slower you can come up and the slower you can come down, the better. So that's a great strengthening exercise to do. The next two I'm going to show you are on the mat. Now, There are some studies to suggest that if you keep your hip strength good, that will also have a favourable effect on your knee. And certainly my experience would suggest that that is the case. So I'm going to show you 2 exercises. What's nice about this is if your knee is quite sore, this is quite a nice way to work your gluteal, so into your buttock, without making your knee terribly sore at the same time. So the first one we're going to do is, if I'm strengthening this one that's up towards the ceiling, we're just going to come up and down. Now with this, what you want to make sure is that your pelvis is staying quite nice and static, so it'll tend to want to roll back. It makes it a wee bit easier. Try and keep it, so if you get your hand on here, it's facing up towards the ceiling, and you're just going to squeeze in your buttock, particularly as you get to the top there, and try and keep the board of your foot facing up towards the ceiling like so. Try not to let that foot migrate forward. Try and keep it straight up, if not a little bit behind you is really good, and you'll feel the difference. It should feel really quite hard to do, particularly as you get to the top. So that's a nice one. Again, because it's strengthening, you want to feel as though it's getting tired before you stop doing it, and that's the way you will gain some strength. The next exercise is traditionally what we would call a bridge. Now again, this is a lovely exercise because it works lots of different parts of your lower leg, not just your knees. This is good for your gluteals, it's good for stretching the front of your hips, your quadriceps, and there's a lot of muscle activity around your knee. So with this, what you want to do is sort of push your lower back down into the bed a wee bit. That causes a wee bit of a tilt of your pelvis, and then what you're going to do is you're going to just try and lift up. Now you're lifting up from your gluteals. If you've got a bit of back pain, some back pain loves this exercise, some back pain hates it. So just be a little bit careful, certainly cautious to begin with, that you're not sort of coming right up. The back should be relatively relaxed, but you will feel some activity in it, which is not a bad thing. Okay, so if I show you that again, so I'm just going to flatten my back down into the floor a little bit. I'm then going to squeeze my buttocks and I'm going to come up. Now I can feel a big stretch at the front of my hips here. I can feel lots of activity around about my knees. And again, my arms are not doing anything, so I'm not gripping on. I'm trying not to grip on with my toes, and I'm not using my arms. So really, I'm getting lots of activity around this area, all the way down my thighs. Your hamstrings are also doing quite a lot here as well. So just a lovely exercise to get lots and lots of things working. So you can try those. And then last, but by no means least, number 5 is what we would call an inner range quad. Now, we often find that anyone that has a knee problem develops a bit of weakness when they're trying to extend this knee. That's a very functional position, so you want to make sure that that stays nice and strong. So if I show you with this leg here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a rolled up towel. Now you can do this on the floor, you can do this on your bed, your couch if it's long enough. And what you're going to do here is you're just going to squeeze the front of your thigh. Can you see how my heel's coming off the ground? So again, squeezing my thigh and bringing my heel off the ground. And you'll really feel that working. It's amazing how tired that can get. So again, nice strong contraction, try and hold it for a little bit at the top. Again, because it's strengthening, we want you to feel that it's getting tired. Great. So here are my top 5. Play around with them and hopefully you'll enjoy them and find them useful. Thank you.